Okay, thank you all for waiting. Can I just get a thumbs up that you all can hear me okay before I get going? Awesome. Okay, thank you so much. So, good afternoon. I'm Amy Nelson. I'm the director of the school's first Federal Credit Union Center for Careers in Teaching. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We just have a really exciting update to share with you all about the subject matter requirements for a couple of credentials that you're probably interested in as future teachers. And this is specifically for child and adolescent studies majors in the elementary school or pathways only. So this doesn't apply to the other options in the major. You're welcome to sit in and listen if you aren't in the elementary pathways, but this doesn't apply to you if you are not in that pathway. So I just wanted to mention that before I get going. All right, so we're going to jump right in. We just have a few slides to share with you about the update. But first we wanted to just let you know that this is being recorded. And so it will be posted on our YouTube channel after this afternoon. We hope to get it up by the end of the day today, but if not, it will certainly be posted by early next week. So you can review it if you missed a part of it or missed some of the details. Or if you have friends in the program who weren't able to make it, please feel free to let them know that they can watch this later on our YouTube channel. Please hold your questions until the end. As I said, we just have a few brief slides. The announcement is very short and I think pretty easy, but we want to get through the information first before we open it up to questions. Some of my colleagues from the center are here as well to help answer your questions. So we will have an opportunity to do that at the end. And if you forget everything we present this afternoon, please feel free at any point to make an appointment with one of our advisors in the center. That's what we're here for. And as you can tell from this presentation, information about the credential requirements changes constantly. And so really it is in your best interest to meet with one of our advisors each semester to make sure you have the most up-to-date information. So this is really hot off the presses information. And so we're so glad that you were able to join us this afternoon. So as I mentioned just a few moments ago, this only applies to a few students in the child and adolescent studies major. So this update is about students who are interested, or only applies to students who are interested in either the multiple subject credential or the education specialist credentials, and specifically for the mild to moderate support needs or the extensive support needs programs for education specialist programs. And then again, this only applies to students who are majoring in child and adolescent studies in the elementary pathways. The name has changed a little bit over the years, and so we're using elementary pathways kind of more generically, but if you're following that pathway, I think there's one that's youth settings or something like that. There's 3 pathways or 4 pathways in the CAS major. So this is only for the elementary pathway. This update is effective immediately. So if this applies to you, you can use this immediately to meet admission requirements for these credential programs. And as some of you may already know, there are many ways now to meet the subject matter requirement. So that's what the update is about. It's about the subject matter requirement for these credential programs. And so there are more details. And I believe Heather, one of our advisors, is posting links to these websites in the chat. So you can certainly look at those if you haven't seen them before. But one of our pages on the center's website is more information about the subject matter requirements. And so you can read more details about that, especially if you're not in the CAS-Elementary pathway major. You may want to share this with your friends, or you may want to follow this in terms of the other options. But this change we're going to speak with you about today, specifically about how to meet the subject matter requirement with coursework. So many of you might be familiar with how you were able to do that prior to today, but there is a new way to meet subject matter requirement with coursework. So what is the big news? You're like, come on, Amy, just get to the point. So the big news is, some of you may be familiar already, about a year and a half ago, we posted the information of these 3 pages you'll see here on the left side of your screen. gonna be fancy here and circle them for you. These are basically the courses that you need to take to meet the 3 subtests for the CSAT. That's what you all have been following based on our advising in the last year and a half if you're in the CAS major, because unfortunately the CAS major doesn't automatically satisfy the subject matter requirement. So the new update is that we have been authorized to provide what we're calling a mini coursework review, and that's, sorry for my squiggly line, that's on the right of your screen there. That is the mini coursework review for child and adolescent studies majors in the elementary settings or elementary pathways. There's a sort of a shorter list of courses that you get to take now. So that's the big exciting news. It's essentially going to be easier for you to meet the subject matter requirement. So I'll show you a little more specifically what that looks like. Oh, let me clear those circles for you. Sorry about that. So specifically for the mini coursework review, a major that has these 9 content areas can basically be used to meet the subject matter. CAS in the elementary settings has almost all 9 of them. They have 8 of the 9 courses required in the major. So you see those listed here. The exception is the history requirement, and that's why we have that bolded. But essentially, as a CAS major and getting your degree from the Cal State system and Cal State Fullerton specifically, you're going to meet all of these classes by graduating. And so, we can't say you're meeting the subject matter requirement with your major, but you're meeting it with coursework. And these courses are courses you have to take anyway to graduate. So you need all 9 areas. So for language studies, that course that meets that specific content area is CAS 300, part of the major. Your literature would be English 341 or Theater 311, again, part of the major. Your math requirement would be Math 303A. Science would be Biology 453 or Geology 410. Your social studies class is CAS 201. Art, you have 4 different courses there that you can choose from to take, again, part of their major. Your physical education content area is CAS 386. And then human development is met with the CAS 101 course. So all of those, with the exception of history, are met with your CAS major, again, in the elementary settings or elementary pathways only. So let's dig a little bit deeper into the history requirement. So your acceptable history courses are generally going to be a US or world history course, which is content you need to know as an elementary school teacher. So you would probably meet this requirement by satisfying your general education area D2 or D3, depending on which GE pattern you're following. We probably are still seeing some students who are following the GE pattern from 2018 or earlier. So we wanted to make sure to include that. But generally, you're going to meet your history requirement with the area D2 history courses, and those are listed there. Also wanted to note the history, AFAM, ASAM, Chicano Studies cross-listed courses in the 190 history would also meet the ethnic studies requirement for the credential program. So if you haven't taken your area D2 yet, I would encourage you to take one of those classes. So any of those history courses would work. You can also meet the history requirement with a world history course. So the history 110A or 110B might work. But this is not an exhaustive list. We didn't want to list every single history course that could apply here. So we encourage you to see an advisor to get more details in case you didn't take one of these courses. We were just trying to give some general information and examples of how you might be able to meet the history requirement. So that just a little more detail there. And then some additional information about the classes. You can also use courses that are equivalent or have articulated, say, for example, from a community college. So you don't have to take all of these courses necessarily at Cal State Fullerton. So for example, if you're a transfer student, maybe you transferred from Santa Ana College. So you may have taken Child Development 107 or Psych 157, which is equivalent to our CAS 101. So you would have met that requirement with one of those 2 classes. not necessarily specifically CAS 101, but it's the equivalent course. So you can use courses that you may have completed from the community college. And that would apply for other areas as well. There are community colleges that offer the math 303 similar course, your children's literature, maybe some of the arts courses. So there are other opportunities to meet requirements at a community college as well. All of the courses have to be completed with a C or higher. Pass or credit is also acceptable, but typically, since these are major requirements, you're probably going to have these completed with a letter grade, but a pass or credit is also acceptable. Also, just know for general education, many of you probably know, in area D2, you could potentially still meet that requirement if you received a D in the course. That wouldn't then meet the requirement for the subject matter. So for the credential program. So those are the kinds of things we need to check when we're reviewing the coursework. All courses must be completed with a C or higher. And then there's no expiration date for the courses. So it doesn't matter how long ago you completed the course, just as long as you completed it with a C or better. And then the course is done. We don't have to ever take it again as far as the subject matter requirement is concerned. So this has a lot of information on this page. We're going to show you our website in a second with this form, but basically this is the new form we've created to help you get verification of completing the subject matter requirement. So since we can't say the CAS major automatically meets the requirement, we do have to provide you some sort of documentation that you can turn in with your credential application. And so this is what the form looks like, and we'll show you where to find it on our website in just a second. But when you're ready to apply, you don't have to do this yet. If you're early on, maybe you're just starting out here. This fall semester is your first semester at Cal State Fullerton. So you don't need to do this yet. Just know that it's here. And when you talk or meet with our advisors, they'll show you the form and make sure you're on the right track, taking the right courses and things like that. But when you're getting ready to apply to either the multiple subject or the education specialist credentials, you need to have this form filled out. So you'll go to our website, download the form, you'll complete the top portion there with your name, CWIT, and email, and then you're actually going to fill out the table there and include all of the courses you've completed. You're in the column where it asks for the course number equivalent. This is where we want you to either put, for example, for the language studies requirement, you would put CAS 300 if you completed that here. There isn't probably an equivalent course at a community college, but maybe you transferred from another university and they gave you credit for a course from that institution. So you would put that course here, not CAS 300. So same thing for the rest of these courses. Put the course that you actually completed, and then the semester you completed it, and the grade you received for the course. If the course is in progress, you would put IP. And so you'd fill all that information out there, and then the instructions are there at the bottom on how to submit it. You'll submit that form with a copy of your Titan degree audit or transcripts. And we will receive that, we'll review it, and we'll send you back a signed copy that says you've either completed the requirements, you're good to go, or you have courses in progress, or you haven't for some reason, and we will obviously give you information about why you haven't met the requirement. So when you get that form back, you turn that into the credential program with the rest of your application materials to show either that you've met the subject matter requirement or that you have it in progress. So you can have the courses in progress as you're applying to the program. Many of you are maybe going to graduate this spring, and you planned, or maybe even this fall, and you plan to apply to the credential program for spring 2024 or fall 2024. So you would have to be applying to the program with courses in progress, and that's okay. As long as we see you're enrolled in the course, we will say that it's in progress. You'll meet the requirement once you've passed all your courses. You'll need to resubmit a transcript to us to verify that you've passed all of your classes with a C or better. As long as you do, you're good to go. But you can submit this with your application even if you have courses in progress. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second, or actually I'm going to share a new screen with you and go to our website now so you can see where to find that form. So this is our, and I just want to double check. Could my team give me a thumbs up if you see the website now? Perfect, thank you. So this is our subject matter requirement website from our center website. And let me go to our homepage really quick. If you haven't seen our website yet, we have a lot of great information on here. And our student assistants are creating these amazing videos to show you all the great things that are on our website. Those are going to go up on our YouTube channel. They're super helpful. The information is great. So if you haven't been there yet, please go to the ed.fullerton.edu/CCT. And then from there, you're going to click or hover over the advising tab and then go down to our subject matter requirements. And you'll see, as I mentioned earlier, there are several different ways you can meet the subject matter requirement. So the form I was just showing you, we listed it under both option 1 and option 2 because just in case students got lost or they may, there are lots of rumors about the credential requirements. And so someone may direct you and say, oh, the CAS major meets the requirement. It technically doesn't, but it sort of does. So we are posting it both under option 1 and option 2. So option 2 is really the way it satisfies the requirements. You're meeting the requirement with your coursework from the major. So either here under option 2 or option 1, you'll see the courses, the form is listed there, linked there. So you can click on that and it's going to just take you to that form I was just showing you on the PowerPoint. And you'll see you can fill it out here. So I would just put my name and student and all that good stuff. You'll fill in your classes here, the semester taken, and fill all that out. And then down here, you'll see instructions about how to submit the form online. And it's just a link to a Google Doc. What you'll want to do is save this form with a copy of your type and degree audit or your transcripts. And if you're using any courses from another college, we're going to need copies of your transcripts from those colleges if you're using transcripts, because your TDA will actually list those courses from other institutions, but your transcripts don't. So if you just submit your CSUF transcripts, we won't see all of the courses necessarily. So once you've attached everything together, you just click on this link and it will take you to basically a Google form and gives you all the instructions about how to submit this to us. So you'll just fill out a few brief things about yourself and you'll attach the file down here and submit it. And then we review it typically within about 10 to 14 business days, and we'll email it back to you with your response, basically either verifying that you've met all of the requirements or that you have them in progress or that you haven't met them in blocking. It's pretty easy to find. Oh, I'm going to show you also, let me go back to the website. And I also want to show you, just in case you haven't met with any of our advisors in the center, this is our website that explains how you can make an appointment with our advisor. So I really do encourage you, especially if you're a new student and you didn't get to see any of us during orientation, I would encourage you to make an appointment with an advisor in the next few weeks if you can. All right, so let me go back to the PowerPoint. We're almost to questions. So just some final reminders. So if any of you are graduating in the next semester or two and you plan to apply to the credential program in the spring or fall, this maybe it's good news to you because maybe you've met the requirement already and you don't have to worry about it anymore. You don't have to take any more courses. So you can apply sooner than you thought. But subject matter does have to be completed before you begin the credential program. But again, if you do have courses in progress that you need to meet the subject matter requirement, you can still apply, but the courses have to be passed with a C or better before you start the program. So just wanted to reiterate that. And then I included our deadlines here in case you aren't aware for the spring 2024 credential application deadlines and then the fall 2024 credential application deadlines. So obviously we're in the admission cycle for spring 24. So you can do that now if you're interested in applying then, and you'll see those deadlines there. The fall 2024 cycle hasn't technically or officially opened yet. That application opens on October 1st. And then those are the deadlines there. And if you haven't attended a credential overview, I would encourage you to do that as well. And again, if you see one of our advisors, we can give you more information about that.